Good morning. I'm Jim Check. With me, Ian Burns, our managing. Got an echo or a back loop there somewhere? Ian, are we echoing there? I think we're better now.
You were a little bit. I can't hear you echoing now.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you echoing. The echo was there, but it's gone now.
Okay. Tragedy. I mean, it's just an unimaginable tragedy, and that's where we're going to kick it off here first. World mourns victims of Tumbler Ridge massacre. We're going to lay out some of these other headlines, but and then we'll get back to that. A king's power. Why should that be? Is the obvious question. Canada tries to handle the bridge threat. Sorry, head's a little out of the game. Canada's top companies illustrate Canada's weakness of leadership. Still selling taxes that don't affect the prices of goods. Dairy cartel looks to government to cement their grip on the Canadian consumer. Another EV investment destined for failure. Who makes these deals and who's held accountable? More waste, fraud, and abuse. You pick. Canadian deficit knows no bounds with this government. Another new department and another huge salary. CSIS mum on Chinese interference. Housing touts just that. Reality, much worse. Canadians suffer under the global world order. And liberals continue to use the label gun. Why? I guess because it works. Crime files, you will not believe. BC in a whole lot of trouble. America's starting its engine and Canada is in free fall. Come on, Keir, give it up. And Epstein files may clear Trump. But we do thank everybody that watches this show, and we ask you to get this out to a much wider audience. But we're gonna start with a story that is unimaginable for people in a small community in Tumbler Ridge, and the world's going to be focusing on Tumbler Ridge today. I mean, it is absolutely the world's focus has turned to Tumbler Ridge, a small community just south. East of Dawson Creek and just east of Grand Prairie, small resource-based community. And an unimaginable tragedy has happened there. Why don't we listen in to David Eby first here?
I understand that there are 10 people in total who are dead, 2 different sites. 8 of the people who died as a result of the shootings were at the school, including an individual we understand is the suspected shooter, who is believed to have died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There are about 25 people who have been triaged by health authorities with various physical injuries, some profoundly serious, and some more minor injuries.
While the RCMP emergency alert has been lifted, the people of Tumbler Ridge remain in a state of crisis following one of the worst mass shootings in our province's and country's history. This is a devastating day for a close-knit community, and the loss being felt is profound.
And here's a picture of the school there that where this happened, and this is the gunmen there also took their own life with a self-inflicted injury. Mark Carney's reactions, devastated by today's horrific shootings in Tumbler Ridge. Prayers and that there was an emotional, he did get emotional in front of the parliamentary gallery of reporters this morning. Lots of reaction from a lot of people, especially from around the world. Like I said, this will get the attention of people all around the world whenever you have a school shooting that, especially in this small community. I mean, the sad thing is that the world's going to kind of like zoom into that community. There's going to be reporters from all over the world there. You know, this is an international story.
Yeah.
Small
Absolutely.
community too, and just give you a little background on the community. We can pull up some maps too. It's about 2,300, 2,400 people. That's I believe, the school there in the bottom corner there, the high school. And that's the zoomed out a little bit of that's the elementary school, but the high school is down in the bottom corner there. So that's how small it is, 2,400 people. It's in part of the Peace River Regional District there. It's coal mining, natural resource, forestry, and that kind of stuff, wind energy. About 97 kilometers from Dawson Creek and Fort St. John, about 170 kilometers, and then Grand Prairie to the east there of 249 kilometers. It is a small community, and likely has, trust issues with the media, trust issues with government and stuff like that. I mean, that's the typical of a small community, and they're just going to get inundated right now with questions. And I say to people, be respectful at these times of, I mean, you can't imagine as a parent to not see your child again. And it's going to be this. I grew up in a small community. I know what this feels like for a small community. The devastation is, we just had a mass drowning in our small town, and what it did to our town. This is like a exponential factor of something like this. And there's going to be a lot of finger pointing, because obviously there's ideology. There's going to be a lot of ideological stuff going on, a lot of reporters pushing different narratives, some of the extreme on this side, the extreme on that side. And it's going to turn into a bit of a mess here. The one that's odd is, usually at a time like this, they would bring in, religion and that, because a lot of people will turn to, their God, Christ, and at times like this. And the media used to do that too, but I doubt if you're going to see that from our mainstream media.
Yeah, Polyev mentioned prayer, but yeah, not much. I'd also say, you're talking about the nature of these places like Tumbler Ridge. They're also the parts of BC that frequently have to do without any sort of ER, any sort of healthcare. This is one of the places that's been hit repeatedly by closures, as has Chetwynd, which is the nearest place to it. So just another thing. I mean, in many ways, these are parts of British Columbia, parts of Canada that often feel forgotten about. I think that's fair to say. I would, we do have the video of Mark Carney. I would I would recommend that we watch at least a little bit of that, because that was quite an unusual insight into who Mark Carney is, I think.
Do you have that link in there? Okay, play it.
Well, it's obviously a very difficult day for the nation. This morning, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you. I have spoken to Premier Eby. Minister of Public Safety has been engaged, as have many Canadian officials over the evening. Minister of Public Safety is en route to British Columbia. He and the Premier will be visiting the community. All assistance, obviously, will be offered. We thank the first responders, the teachers, the staff, the residents, for everything that they've done in this terrible situation. I, on the advice of the Clerk of the Privy Council and Heritage Canada.
He was just talking about he's going to bring the flags to half-mast for 7 days, yeah.
Okay.
But I would say, you have to, I think we're obliged to say it, that he looked like a leader there to me, and I thought that was, he's good at that. I think he's reassured a lot of people, and just what else is there to say, really? I think he met that quite well.
I just want to say to people, like just out of respect to the families, try to keep the ideology out of it for a few days, because the media is going to try and push narratives right now, and the families don't want that right now. And just
No,
the fact of them.
it's the last thing that they want. Yeah.
And
A political fight over the bodies of their loved ones. It's repulsive.
People are going to try and use this to their political advantage, and now is not the time. Now is not the time. And if you see media doing it, they're not for you. And sad. It's like this small community will take generations to heal from this, and some people may never heal from it. So
Yeah, catastrophic. Young people as well, in a place that struggles to maintain its population. It's a small place anyway, small population to start with. Things like this not going to be forgotten in several lifetimes, I would imagine. So, God bless them all. It's a lot of people are talking about it in the comments, which I feel like we should probably acknowledge that it's one of those very strange situations where it seems like the killer has already been identified. I mean, you don't have to be like an internet wizard to find this. It's absolutely everywhere.
Yep.
Very, very odd that the police haven't just released it. But we were talking about politics. It's going to be, the nature of the life of this shooter, I think, is going to be central to the political discussion, inevitably. It's going to be, and it also, I don't want to go too much into it, but it looks like the person who committed this massacre, this horrible crime, it looks like they at least possessed an SKS rifle, which is, very popular in this country, and it's there's been pressure, hasn't there, to get rid of that. So a lot of people have turned to it with the other guns being banned. So this is going to be full-blown culture wars, I would say, and it's coming very soon. But I do agree with you that it's not worth us going into it right now. And I would recommend that of most people, really.
Leave the families grieve.
Don't start the culture war. Yeah, don't start that culture warfare just yet. Like, just hold on.
Because I can tell you,
you should recognize the human tragedy first before you start chatting about politics.
And small communities don't want any part of it, I'm sure. And
yeah. But they're going to be dragged into it.
They're the salt of the earth. They're the salt of the earth. Anyway, okay. But here's CBC. They can't resist, and they've started. And they right away they want to turn it into an American thing. And, just listen to this little clip here. This is where we have to tell them that we've had enough.
The people involved directly and indirectly.
Yeah. I think about the United States, where, first of all, they have a lot of school shootings. If you look proportionally at the fact they have 10 times the population that we do, they still have way more than 10 times the number of school shootings. But very quickly after each of those shootings, it devolves into partisan politics. I don't see that happening here. I don't. But you tell me, in terms of how do you see the political reaction to this unfolding?
They just can't resist. They just can't resist.
And so Jason here said this has everything to do with politics. Yeah, I'm not saying, and I'm sure Jim's not saying either, like that this isn't going to be a topic of discussion from a political perspective. It's just now, like, come on.
Just pause.
And I know people want to, but we have a certain obligation because we're public facing. We're not just having a conversation in our kitchen here. And that is what my namesake there, Ian, didn't understand. Don't move straight to politics. Just give it a rest, give it a break. There'll be plenty of time to talk about politics. Believe me, when they reveal the identity of this man, this person, there'll be a hell of a lot of politics to talk about. When the weapon used is revealed, there'll be a hell of a lot of politics to talk about. When Gary Anandasangari makes his speech in Tumbler Ridge, possibly today or tomorrow, there's going to be lots and lots of politics. But just for a minute, let's not do that.
Just give the families a moment. Sorry. Just take a second here. Andrew Scheer on Power and Politics there, talking about the King's powers that we talked about yesterday. This is important. This is why would they need this? And this is Andrew Scheer. Listen in.
Because this is going to be a big one. Not that this one isn't serious, but this is unquestionably a confidence motion and needs to get passed before the end of March, I believe. Kate, who was just in the studio, had some reporting that there is a conversation happening between the Conservatives and the Liberals after the meeting with Mr. Poilievre and Mr. Carney to maybe strip out some components of the Budget Implementation Act, including the bit to give ministers the power to exempt certain companies from certain non-criminal pieces of legislation if it helps with economic competitiveness. This is an issue that you don't support as a party. Where are things on that? Are you willing to compromise on the Budget Implementation Act if the government, in fact, accedes to this request? Where are things?
Well, what I would say is that that particular clause that you're talking about, it's referred to as the Henry VIII clause for a reason. It gives the government massive amounts of power, and it's virtually unprecedented. And what the Liberals are trying to do is give ministers the ability to circumvent several laws that no one else gets that kind of power to do. So what we've said is if they accept our compromises, and if we say to them, look, let's build some scrutiny around that, some transparency. Let's make sure that Liberals don't get to do what they've always done. When Liberals believe that no one's looking, what do? They have the Green Slush Fund scandal where they line the pockets of wealthy, well-connected Liberal insiders. There are all kinds of examples of Liberals using tools to enrich their friends. We want to make sure that can't happen. So if they agree with us that they will modify or build better protections around that particular clause, then what we've said is that we would allow for a path for the budget bill to pass.
Okay, so through the House of Commons, not just...
That's good. I mean, what's his name? David Cochrane there. Like, I don't know. He should just wear a red tie and jacket and put a Liberal sticker on his forehead. But yeah,
he's got no doubt, has he? He's got no skepticism at all when it comes to the Liberal Party. He's quite good at being skeptical about the Conservatives. He's just, he doesn't seem to enter his mind that he should be skeptical about the people who have power over us. You know, that for him, that's just like, no worries.
This should be not even considered, and maybe they're using it as a negotiating thing, because I don't understand it. How they could even ask for it. But here's another piece in committee, and we're not going to play a lot of it because, I mean, it's just nonsense. But
Minister, for taking our questions. Minister, you've been in government for a long time. Is it fair to say that you believe that government should be transparent and accountable?
As always, of course.
So as many Canadians are well aware, we're here discussing the Budget Implementation Act. It sounds rather innocuous, but what most Canadians wouldn't be aware of, it's a 600-page omnibus bill. Now, buried on page 300, Part 5, Division 5, Section 208, there's a provision that allows you as minister and other of your ministerial colleagues to exempt any individual, corporation, or organization from being subject to federal laws, with the exception of those that fall under the criminal code. From my understanding, those exemptions don't require parliamentary approval. They can last up to 6 years. And they're being justified using some vague terms like public interest, innovation, and competitiveness. So, Minister, do you believe that your government should be able to selectively suspend laws behind closed doors passed by Parliament?
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Bardisi, on a point of order.
So I know this that certain parts of the Budget Implementation Act have been sent to this committee. I don't know if those sections have been sent to this committee.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been relatively flexible in some of the topics of discussion here today, so I'll afford the minister an opportunity to respond. And if it is okay, colleagues, a lot of crosstalk here. Yeah, that's okay. We're almost there. Minister, I'll go to you
Yes.
and provide you an opportunity to speak to this. And I think it's fair game for now, Mr. Bardisi, but I appreciate your bringing the matter to my attention. Madame Joly, to you.
Yes, of course, this government believes in innovation. We believe in cutting red tape, but we also believe in the importance of parliamentary oversight.
So I guess my concern with this provision specifically, and I think the concerns that Canadians would have, is that in Section 208 here, it allows ministers veto power over laws passed by Parliament, basically going all the way back to Confederation, as long as they don't fall within the criminal code. It makes elected representatives less relevant and concentrates more power in the cabinet and with the Prime Minister. And it's not like Canadians don't have reason to be concerned. I mean, we have seen major scandals from your government, from the Liberal government, where political discretion in the past has intersected with powerful corporations. SNC-Lavalin, the We Charity are two obvious examples. Respectfully, Minister, like you were in cabinet at the time, and had these laws been on the book, we would have never even known about any of these conflicts of interest. So can you explain why Canadians should trust that this new exemption power wouldn't just be more exemptions for well-connected Liberal insiders?
First and foremost, we always respect ethical laws. I personally always do, and I will always do so as well. And I think your point is well taken, and I think that is why this committee is studying the BIA. So I think you should make a recommendation, and we'll take that into account. And we believe, as I mentioned, in parliamentary oversight.
That's good.
So, and just...
That's good. Where's the apology for the invoking of the Emergencies Act, Madame Joly?
They don't feel like they have anything to be sorry about, so that will not be forthcoming. I wouldn't hold your breath for that. But I also wouldn't hold your breath if you're waiting for her or any of her ministerial colleagues to take Canadian democracy seriously, because it's not going to happen, because they don't take it seriously. Just look at the insolent smirk on that woman's face as she sits there and mocks Canada's democracy. It is disgusting. More people should be upset about that. And I feel like even she recognized, like, hold on, maybe that wasn't such a good look. And then in her second answer that we saw there, she took it a bit more seriously, didn't she? And she was like, you know, your point is well taken. And but that doesn't quite erase what we saw. And it's the same thing again and again and again. Champagne, Miller, Joly, all of them, when they sit there in committee, they are just like impudent little children in a classroom, truculent little kids trying to defy the teacher. But it's not a joke. It could not be more serious. This is, as I've said many times, this is Canadian democracy. Whether it lives or dies is determined by performances like that. And that is her attitude to it. Repellent.
We're going to get through some really good stories here later. And one of the things I want to say to people is we need this government and the people to focus on our economy. We've wasted 10 years on virtue signaling and identity politics, which played out again. We've wasted so much time and energy on this stuff, and it's a distraction. Globalism is the problem. Globalism is what's gutted the middle class in Canada and the United States and everywhere. Globalism, we're going to talk about it a little bit later here. It's the distraction. When you look at the gaps here between the top 1 to 3% versus the rest, I mean, it's been that gap continues to widen. It continues to widen. That's what globalism is. It is all about open borders, cheap labor, and moving factories where they can get cheaper labor, and more for the policies that benefit the few at the expense of the many. And then they distract you with all these other things that we fight about and we go on about when, again, we're going to show you some. We're going to bring some receipts here later on here, and we're going to show you some of that stuff. One of the things coming up is the bridge we talked about yesterday. That was our lead story yesterday, the bridge. I wish it was our lead story today. Wish we didn't have that other lead story. Donald Trump's threat to block the new bridge. And Ian mentioned it yesterday before it even became out public knowledge that the owner of the other bridge also has Donald Trump's ear. And the owner of the other bridge looks at it as a threat and has been making noise about this ever since they started building this bridge, that it's going to cost them like their cash cow.
And sued as well. And has attempted in many ways, including bribery of public officials. But obviously in America, they call that donations.
It
bribing
might be.
the Republican Party to bring it up. Lo and behold, bribes work. Bribes work, kids. Do bribes.
And it might be a good idea if you make one law in Canada is that nobody owns major infrastructure like highways and roads. We also know that Anita Annan's husband has his paws on the PEI bridge. Like, why do we have private corporations owning basic public roadways? And here's what we have now. We have a mess. And nobody knows what it is. But apparently Howard Lutnick met with the owners of the other bridge.
This is one of the many occasions where you've got a perfect analogy with Monopoly, which almost everybody has played. They've just got a really good tile in Monopoly, haven't they? And they've piled up all the bits on that tile, and they don't want to give it up. I mean, it's literally no more complicated than that. But it is, yeah. I mean, your point is an interesting one, isn't it? And something as important as this, like Canada-US trade, that's important to the United States. Obviously, that's not just one-way traffic. It's very important to the United States. To think that the greed of one little monopoly man can potentially hold up something like this, of this significance, this level of importance. It's times like this where you really do just have to. You've got to wonder. And I would say a lot of people will be tempted to say Republicans, Trump. Yeah, Donald Trump has shown many, many signs of corruption and is indeed corrupt. And this is an example of corruption and bribery. But it isn't unique to the Republican Party, and it's not unique to Donald Trump either. There are, particularly with Joe Biden when he was first elected, look at some of his executive orders, look at what he did, and look who funded his campaign. The environmental activist organizations, the renewable magnates. And one of the first things he did right away was kill a pipeline. You know, that's something that was
Day one.
demanded in exchange for huge amounts of money. Bribery. There's no, I mean, you can talk about donors and PACs and super PACs. That's overcomplicating it. American presidents are bribable. If you've got enough money, you can bribe them. Just, you know, that's just a fact of life. And clearly Trump's going to suffer from this. He'll take something of a reputational blow. I don't know if that's really how possible that is. But just bear in mind, you can bribe American politicians. It's cool. You can do it.
You can do it in Canada as well. We're going to show you that later, too. One cabinet minister expressed alarm over Trump's demand of 50% of the $6.4 billion Gordie Howe Bridge as Canada tries to stick handle that threat. You see how I threw that in there? The threat that was in that social media post. And Jolie, again, with her, she's so smart. When President Trump talks, we listen. We make sure we take it into account. Oh, God. Anyway, the construction of that bridge dates back to 2018. It was built to bypass the 1929 era Ambassador Bridge owned by late Michigan financier Manuel Mourns and his heirs. You know, that's where if Canada should stay out of the car business, Canada should stay out of a lot of industry. Canada should build infrastructure. That's what a government should build, is infrastructure. Canada should own bridges. America should own bridges. Infrastructure that the public travels on should belong to the nation. That's what Canada should build, not giving $52 billion to battery makers and all that kind of stuff and failed project after failed project. Just failure after failure after failure. Canada, and most of the time, even in America, most of the time, all those investments turn out to be failure. Look at how much they spent in the United States to build charging networks. And I think they built like $3 billion. Wasted. Maybe not wasted. Redirected. Misdirected. And then, of course, we got to have Flip Flop Ford in there. And he's like a thorn that just, have you ever had a thorn in your foot there? You're on a hike and you can't get it out? That's Doug Ford. He's a thorn. He's a thorn in the Canadian economy. He thinks he's helping. I think he's only thinks is doing is actually helping himself. But listen in on him here.
The President mentioned the LCBO ban, that Ontario is banning booze on LCBO shelves. That's a policy that you implemented. Does his mention of that make you more likely to remove the ban or less likely to remove the ban, because it clearly it's getting inside his head?
Yeah, well, it's obviously working. It's an irritant. But there's one thing President Trump can do: get rid of Canadian tariffs. And all it does is it's a tax on the American people. It's an attack on the American economy. Get rid of it, and we're good to go. The good news is our wineries, and especially in Niagara, they've seen a jump of close to 70% because people are tasting great Ontario-made wine, and they're enjoying it. So
So you're not backing off of that?
No, I encourage people not to back off on it. This is key that we even double down if we have to. We're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the entire world, and that's one of our.
That's good enough. That's nothing to brag about. We're the largest purchasers of alcohol in the whole world. I don't know if I want to brag about that.
But also, it's like, as great as booze may be in the minds of many people, it doesn't make your economy flow. It doesn't make you rich. You can't build an economy on booze. So realistically, you've got to get a bit more serious than that.
And if you happen to partake, I don't. If you happen to partake in the libations, April 1, you get another gift. You get another tax set to go up every April 1, obviously on Fool's Day. So drink before April 1, I guess, or buy your booze. Doug Ford, Mr. Performative, for sure. Flip-flop Ford.
He loves the bevy, though. He was elected based on his buck of beer promise. That was one of his.
How's that working out?
Yeah. Well, he's on about the tax on like a tax per unit or something, per unit of alcohol. I mean, it's quite obscure, but it was good campaigning. But he's always chatting about booze, old Dougie. I wonder if he imbibes.
I want you to look at this chart again. We showed it yesterday. I want you to look at this, and then a lot of people, when they look at this, they say, you and I alluded to it a bit. They'll say, "Oh, look at the banks in Canada. That's our strongest sector, finance." That's a parasitic industry. They take from industry. Resource sector.
Rent seeking. That's the term for it, isn't it?
What's it? Sorry?
Rent seeking. They want rents. They don't want to invest and do anything. They just want rents. That's basically what that on the right is, except for Shopify and you could argue the mines.
And you literally had them kiboshing, because of Mark Carney's Net Zero Alliance, they were part of it, kiboshing investment into oil and gas because of ESG. Mark Carney's Net Zero Alliance that just got killed when Donald Trump was elected. All these banks on the right-hand side were part of that. And so they would not invest. They were basically blocking oil and gas investment here in Canada. This right side, if Canada is healthy, should be filled with the likes of Suncor, Teck, and I could go on and name Kinross, IM Gold, a whole bunch of names should be on that side, B2 Gold. It should be all resource companies, should be forestry companies, Canfor. It shouldn't be banks. It shouldn't be banks. That is a testament to how weak our economy is and how weak leadership is in Canada. Canada, the richest resource nation in the world, and look who is the top companies in Canada. That is a testament of weakness. That is an absolute testament of weakness, and it is a testament of globalism and what it's done to this economy. Globalism is the problem here in Canada. And globalism, Mark Carney stood on that speech there, he made that speech in Davos and talking about the New World Order and globalism. If you listen and look at what globalism actually is for the middle class or for the people outside of the top 1% to 3%, outside of the elites, it's bad for all of you. It's bad for most of you. Open borders, it means bad for unions, bad for wages, bad for everything, bad for healthcare. That's what globalism is, accessing the cheapest possible labor. Globalism is actually hurt economies, gutted If you look at Detroit, gutted because of globalism. Gutted. I mean, that was the heartbeat of America there for a while. You look at the United Kingdom. It used to be an industrial giant. Globalism killed it. The European Union, look what they did to themselves. And the euro dollar, it also wipes away cultural identity too. And they'll tell you here in Canada, you don't want to have a cultural identity. And I listened to a clip there from somebody on that and talking about the power of China. Like, you want your national heroes on your currencies because you want to have cultural identity. What they're trying to do with the euro is just even take all that away, open the borders, everything. Because then who wins in all that? The people that win in that are the globalists, the elitists. Mark Carney, globalist, self-admitted globalist, said it himself, globalist. And he's worried about the New World Order. And the sad reality is America built globalism. It introduced globalism to the world. From the greed of the corporations there, they took all their corporations to China for cheap labor. And then they thought, well, we'll just bring the cheap labor to us. That's even better. Bring the cheap labor. And it's America that is actually trying to kill globalism right now because it realizes what it's done. It's actually decimated America. And then, like, you can hate Trump all you want, but he's actually trying to restore the America to what it was. And the people that are pushing back the hardest against it are the people that love globalism. And it's the top 1% to 3% that get it all. Just look around. Just look at the facts. Look at the reality of the situation.
I would say the China, obviously, and lots of non-Western countries have done all right from globalism, haven't they? If you look at China,
differently though, they do it differently though. They absolutely look at globalism differently.
Well, they exploit it. They've exploited the system. That's why they've done well.
They don't open their borders. Actually, China has lifted their population out of poverty with globalism because they're a major exporter. They're a major exporter. Completely different than, so they've had tight controls. They've taken the advantages of globalism and not allowed any of the negativity of globalism.
But you say America you said two things. You said America created globalism and Trump's taken it back to where it was before globalism. I would say that's kind of right, about Trump. But globalism, this version of it was created by the Americans, but really it's a riff on the British Empire.
Yep.
And the British Empire pushed, insane to anyone that's interested in economic history, I recommend you read about this because it's mad when you think about it. But the British unilaterally removed tariffs from countries around the world, including the United States. So the United States and Germany, the two countries that usurped the British Empire's power, they could trade freely into Britain, but Britain couldn't trade freely into those countries. Kind of crazy to think that ever happened. But it's interesting because there is a bit of a parallel. The Americans and the Germans, they kind of they gained their position in the world by exploiting the stupidity of the British. And you could argue that the Chinese have done similar, but with the Americans. But yeah, I mean, I agree what you said. Trump, clearly, and also Biden, that's a different conversation to be had. But I mean, and you could even say Obama to an extent. But certainly Trump has been chopping away at globalization. And I mean, that's beyond doubt at this point, isn't it? And it certainly looks like it's going away.
The big thing that China doesn't do, it does globalism, but it doesn't do liberalism. And that's the two of those things together are what destroyed the European economy, the UK, and it's coming here. It's here, actually here. We're just a few days later. The future's already in front of us. It's already been made.
But you also can't really have globalization unless everybody's a nice, friendly liberal. And the Chinese have never played that game since they were admitted to the World Trade Organization in 2001, given most favored nation status, which is supposed to be something that you protect. And you only give that to like sensible, friendly, good guy countries. But ever since they were given that, they've just gone on a rampage and totally violated every rule that the World Trade Organization has ever had. And as you said, not even close to being liberals in the sort of good sense of liberalism rather than the mad progressivism that we may be associated with now. And they've stolen our lunch. And again, I agree exactly with what you just said there. A small minority of people in America and in the West in general profited from this magnificently. They have magnificent wealth. They've got castles full of gold, and it's all based on basically selling out their own countrymen, their own countries to China. So, good for them.
Again, this chart here, or this table, is a sign of the weakness of leadership in Canada. The sign of how we suppressed our natural resources for over a decade. That's the sickness right there. That's the sickness shown to you. That one company on the right, on the left there, NVIDIA, has a market cap bigger than all of the TSX, the whole TSX. NVIDIA, bigger than the full TSX. And the ones on the right there, they're not manufacturers. Other than there's two energy companies in there, 2 resource companies, Enbridge and Canadian Natural Resources. Where's the railroads? Where's all the industry? Where's that? Canada talks about the strongest economy in the G7. That is not a sign of strength. Banks are parasitic. I mean, I'm saying that nicely. I'm saying that in the generous word there. They're not a bunch of parasites, but it's a parasitic industry. They take from industry. They don't give. They're not their own industry. And which industry do you think, come AI, will lay off their majority of their staff first?
Yeah.
Which one? Yeah.
Those boys.
The banks.
Bank boys.
Right there. They're right there. And which one?
I mean, they can do so much better than like a quant or whatever, can't they? They can do better than these physics PhDs that go into investment banking. Just get Grok to do it.
Ask yourself this: when interest rates went down to like 0.25, we had interest rates of 0.25. Did the banks lower credit card fees? No. Just think, record profits for all those companies on the right. Record profit, record profit. You know what the CBC will explain it to you? Oh, they're Canadian companies, they're making money, and some people have them in their RRSPs. Oh, that's awesome, right? That's just bloody awesome. Just like when they said, Brookfield dodged taxes for $6.5 billion. Oh, well, CPP owns some of it, so everybody benefits. That's awesome. So, yeah. So applaud them.
Benefited.
So it's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely. Why don't they let Ian and I should be sitting on the CBC desk there, and we'll do it again for 1/10 of what they do. They can get rid of all that other nonsense and help us share this show far and wide. Get it out to as many people as possible. We'll get you the truth and how if you look at the world in the proper way. Globalism does not help you. Globalism helps the few. Again, I've said this many times. You can go read on my LinkedIn for the last 3-4 years. Policies that benefit the few at the expense of the many. Immigration policies at record levels helps the Tim Hortons and the A&Ws and the in telecoms, all these companies that prey on cheap labor. Even the UN-based report came out and said Canada is basically running modern-day slavery. Open borders. Open borders helps with votes, helps with everything, but does not help with cultural identity. Yeah, Ian, and I thank you for that, Nelson. We should be at the CBC desk eating sausage rolls. You can also join us as a member. And you can, Lightning Rod, you should buy a membership. You like to chat a lot. It says we're a parrot. Good job.
He's talking about us there. I think he's talking to someone else. He's behaving himself today, Mr. Lightning. Yeah.
But you should buy a membership, Lightning Rod. You should buy a membership. We're going to have we promise we're going to do that video today for the membership. We're going to offer some really cool perks and some, it's going to be a surprise. We're going to have some good stuff for members for sure. And it's going to be well worth it. And we do love this community. And we let you speak in there as well. Not like some of the other outlets where you don't even get to say anything. So anyway, and here we go. Dan Elbus, our local MP here, talking about the industrial carbon tax. Let's listen in. Thank you, David.
And to
well, go ahead.
get out of the way, aka do nothing. No national school food program, no OAS for 65 to 67, no groceries and essentials benefit. From what I've heard.
Whoa, back it up there a bit. You got to go back to where Dan Elbus is talking. Find that just a couple, like a 30 seconds back there. Okay, play it now.
Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of Liberal government, food inflation is double what it was when the Prime Minister took office and double that of the United States. Food bank use has more than doubled, and now bankruptcies are up, the highest they've been since the financial crisis, clocking in at a shocking 10.6% at British Columbia. Will the government admit that its taxes and deficits are driving Canadians into the food bank and into bankruptcy, or will it just claim that everything is fine, proving that it's totally out of touch with reality?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
You know what, Mr. Speaker, I'll bite. Let's imagine what affordability would look like under the Conservatives in British Columbia. They would cut the industrial carbon tax, and you know what would happen? Nothing, because it doesn't affect the price of groceries. And then they would follow their plan to get out of the way, aka do nothing. No national school food program, no OAS for 65 to 67, no groceries and essentials benefit. From what I've heard, all the Conservatives would offer is thoughts and prayers. Oh wait, no, they would also...
That's good.
Just spare a moment there for Dan Albers having to listen to that. He did a good job not spontaneously combusting, I think. But when I heard that, and the reason that I put this in to talk about is that is verifiably untrue. That is false, what she said, by any and all measures, that the carbon tax, the industrial carbon tax, in her words, does not affect the price of groceries. That is false. There's no serious person in this country that agrees with that. There are some very serious people who say that it's a very small contribution to the price, but there is nobody that says it has no effect on the price. So I just wanted to highlight that. I mean, it helps that it's Dan Albers, but I mean, I would have wanted to do this even if it wasn't him. But Dan Albers is kind of like a connection, I guess. But this is an MP, Secretary of State, so like a sort of mini minister, lying or uttering a falsehood brazenly, energetically in the House of Commons. And I don't know, I refer you back to my lamentations about the state of Canadian democracy and the faith that the people have in it. How can we have faith in this? What is this?
Thank you to David, and thank you to Shannon for joining Thinking Canadians, becoming a member. Thank you. And someone said that they can't afford it, and you don't do anything you can't afford in these times. And what you can do is help us share it. Put it on your Facebook, get it out there to a wider audience, share it far and wide. That doesn't cost you anything, but it does help us get our message out and help people see more of the truth and reality. We're going to expose a lot more waste, fraud, and abuse later here in some of the stories we're going to cover. But this is absolute falsehoods, again, being pushed out to you. And they've done it before. They've done the exact same thing before with the carbon tax, told you it didn't affect inflation. And lo and behold, when they finally removed it, they said, look at what we've done. We brought down the price of inflation by getting rid of the carbon tax. Yet they continue with the same lie. CBC does nothing to call this out. Actually, they help promote it. This is absolute lies, and at the expense of our industry. Go back to that chart we just showed you earlier of the sectors. That's what they've done. That's what they've done. That's what they've done.
Somebody has accused both of us now of being members of the New World Order.
Which New World Order?
What is the New World Order? Is that Mark Carney? Is that Mark Carney's WhatsApp group chat? I don't understand what that is.
I don't know either. But hey, I guess the world order I would like to be part of is a world order where the people come first, where we build a better tomorrow for everybody. That's what we're working on. We're working on a better tomorrow for all Canadians, where people are accountable, where everybody matters, where every person's life matters, and everybody's, you know what I mean, where there is no like absolute elitism and policies that benefit the few at the expense of the many. And we're gonna highlight more of this stuff here, like this one right here. This is something that happens in Canada. Nobody knows. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows what it does to our economy, yet it continues. The dairy cartel. Canadians pay way more for their milk, their eggs, their poultry because of this dairy cartel. And the very well-connected dairy cartel. Well, they dump milk 10.2 liters of milk in November alone. They dump it, and they've been dumping food while Canadians stand in food bank lineups in record numbers. I don't know how you defend it. How you defend it. And it is one of the irritants in not only in the US trade deal, the UK trade deal, the European, you know what I mean? It is an irritant for so many, yet this small group has so much power, because a lot of it has Quebec roots, so much power over the Prime Minister and the government. Got milk, there you go, that's that old joke, got milk.
Shout out to Nelson Cade as well, who says the New World Order is where sausage rolls are affordable. He's a funny guy, Nelson. I'm glad he's there.
Well, you know what? If there's sausage rolls for all, then I'm in. If that's what the New World Order looks like, where everybody can just go get a sausage roll anytime they want, that would be great. Because Rosie Barton right now and David Cochran are hogging the bucket, literally hogging the bucket of sausage rolls.
And the dairy farmers of Canada. I mean, if we extrapolate, but Sylvain Charlevoix here, they own, talking about the dairy farmers of Canada, they own politicians, all politicians. Isn't that a remarkable thing to hear an esteemed gentleman such as him say? You know, this very, you know, he's an academic, he's an expert. If he was in a Canadian press story, he would be credited as expert. He is like, you can't get more, you know, credibility than this guy, really. And he's coming out and saying this, like, again, I refer you again and again and again to my comments about the faith in Canada's democratic system. This, I would suspect, Monsieur Charlevoix does not really have very much faith in the system. And if he doesn't, why does anyone? You know? Because and I must say, rather than just hang him out to dry here, I agree with him. Yeah, it's true. From what I can see, they do. I mean, own is a ambiguous verb there. I mean, they certainly scare politicians enough to make them do their bidding. And that is, you know, I think that you can fit that under the word own, can't you? I mean, famously or infamously, there's one politician, isn't there, in Canada, one politician that anybody's ever heard of that doesn't go along with this, and it's the leader of the People's Party of Canada, which is usually just completely discredited and considered to be, you know, jackbooted fascists or something if you read the CBC. But that's the one party that I know of anyway that's ever said anything at all about this. Otherwise, it's just a dead issue.
Ghost of Fat Chance. I don't know, Fat Chance, or I don't know what it is, but that's the
Ghost
same.
Of a chance.
Oh, there you go. That's the same thing Ian's been saying. That's the one issue that Ian has brought up about the Conservatives. Why aren't they going after it? Why aren't they going after it? Because it hurts consumers. And so if we care about Canadians as a whole, why does this dairy cartel still exist here in Canada? Why? Because it is at the detriment of the populace. You pay more for milk and eggs and poultry, cheese, everything. You pay more and less competition. Competition. All the oligopolies here in Canada don't help. The banking cartel, that's an oligopoly here in Canada. The Big Six, that's an oligopoly. Let in competition. They'll say, oh, you can come in. There's so many hurdles in that there's no reason for them to come in. It just there's the cell phones, oligopoly. There's just a few big providers, oligopolies. Open it up.
Yeah.
The same people stand there telling you about free trade. And they blocked a lot of it. And here, this one is massive. Tim Hodgson, the future of the automotive industry is electric, and our government is betting on Canada to seize the opportunities. They're going to invest $84 million in 8,000 EV chargers from coast to coast to coast. We're building a network.
Don't forget the third one.
What's the fourth coast or the third coast?
Everyone's constantly on the Arctic coast, aren't they? You gotta stick it in. EV chargers on the Arctic coast. That makes sense, Tim.
Again, if I was in power, I would just phone up a guy called Elon Musk. He'll build those for nothing. He just give him access, like the Tesla supercharger system. It's the same thing, Joe. These charging systems they are building are junk. I've owned an EV for 2.5 years. The other ones, the whatever they are, they half the time don't work. Guess where everybody's at now? All the people that used to have to go there, like the Fords and the Chevys and that, they used to have to go to those other chargers that they're building. Guess where they go? They go to the Tesla supercharging system because it works. It's just so obvious, and it's just painfully obvious. They're there. And I think the majority of the auto manufacturers have now switched to NACS. And yet here the government continues to waste money, millions of dollars, almost $100 million. Why? Who's getting the contract is the better question. Who got this contract? And why? And then there's a report out by Natural Resources Canada that says instead of, they're putting out 8,000 new chargers, Canada would need 447,000 new chargers. Again, there's a bit of a gap. Okay?
Just a little bit.
Just a
but
gap.
But they realize, like, this is just the seed, like with housing. No, we're not really doing anything. This is a seed. It's fine.
Yeah, if you guys have too much of light and raw, you can silence him yourself so you don't have to engage. We don't mind him here as long as he doesn't try to dominate and just be nonsensical. So, and he doesn't start picking on people with stuff because he's really trying to disrupt the conversation. So at some point, he'll just go into the the timeout box there. Yeah, because if you're just here to disrupt, you're not adding value. We do want people because part of the reason people come here is for the comments. And if one person tries to dominate it by just saying nonsensical things all the time, it's not worth it. Then you just can go away. Snowflake alert. There you go.
Come on, Rodney.
Timeout. Here's Joe Lee talking about, the question again, Mark Carney's silence on Jimmy Lai, still hasn't said a thing on it, says volumes because he's allowed Anita Anand to speak on it because then he can, tell the president of GO, I didn't say it. And then he hides behind that. Let's listen in here when Melanie Jolie is asked about it.
But is that a good thing given what China just did to Jimmy Lai, the sentence they handed down?
So a couple of things. When it comes to our relationship with China, it's always eyes wide open, and Minister Anand has been clear on that. Second is we have clear guardrails in the Chinese EV agreement, 49,000 this year coming in, and it's a hard cap. So anything over than that would have to be done through investments in Canada, making sure that we can build in Canada EVs through Chinese investments, but we also hope, and we're working on, through Canadian investments. You have to have in mind that every time there's a major investment in Canada, it has to go through the Investment Canada Act, and the Minister of the Industry of the time is the one that will put in place the different conditions for any investments, including in these conditions would be obviously high quality jobs, and supporting unionization, supporting also supply chains that are local, so basically our small and medium-sized businesses here at home, and at the same time everything that would be linked through the security of the software.
And the answer to the question is no answer.
Well, the answer to the question is what we said earlier about corruption and bribery. This is just another example of that, isn't it? China's too big to criticize. It matters too much, so we're not going to do it. But I would love to see this consistently applied. Let's forget for a minute that all this boils down to money. I would love to see this applied to just the countries around the world, like if the latest Russia or something like that, or even the United States. I would love to see them be asked a question about like ICE or something, or asked a question about Vladimir Putin bombing some civilians or whatever, and their response would be something like, well, the deal that we have with Russia is, it's going to create lots of high quality jobs and lots of investment. I mean, there's not really all that much difference between the two. China is, after all, as well, as we have to keep reminding people, China is the reason that Russia's still in that war. It's the reason that Russia can still send missiles into power stations in Ukraine in an attempt to make the civilian population freeze to death. That's because of China, who Melanie Jolie there asked a very simple moral question about China. and just starts talking about high quality jobs.
And China also.
I've said it so many times, but I'll say it again just to be as clear as possible. These people have no principles whatsoever. None.
But China also funds Iran. They buy the majority of their oil, and Iran is the hotbed and home of most of the terrorism in the world.
Yeah. They got the list of things that they've done and people they've sponsored: Assad, Hamas, and so on, Hezbollah. Yeah. A lot of the Iraqi, militiamen that were killing British and American soldiers during the Iraq occupation. I mean, the list is very, very long.
But you can go to the CBC website, and how many stories on Chinese calling out companies that make Chinese products for China and stuff like that, when you compare it to what they've done with ICE. Unbelievable. CBC is a propaganda arm for the Liberal Party. That's painfully obvious. Here's another one. The defense agency's first contract worth about $5 billion for Arctic military satellites awarded to Telsat, which is now facing a fraud lawsuit. And we showed you that picture with Mark Carney and the CEO of Telsat, was it a couple weeks ago or whatever? Let's listen to this. Yeah. This is Doug Guzman now, as he runs our new agency, right?
Agency's first contract that it awarded was for military satellite technologies in the Arctic, a project that could be worth up to $5 billion. Now, just weeks ago, news broke that Telesat, one of the companies you awarded this contract to, is now being sued for fraud by creditors. What due diligence was or was not undertaken in awarding a contract of this value?
I wasn't part of the due diligence process. I can confirm that what you described actually happened. We did award a strategic partnership with Telesat MDA to provide mill-grade SATCOM to the Canadian Armed Forces. I don't have a comment. I might be able to pass it to Siobhan to comment on the specifics of your question.
So a strategic partnership that we awarded, and so this is still a work in progress in terms of progressing through all the steps, but we do our due diligence. I would just point out that this is still not determined, so there's still a process that this has to go through as well in terms of the accusations, and so we have done our due diligence. Thank you.
So perhaps what I will ask then is, do you not check a company's standing with creditors ahead of awarding multi-billion-dollar contracts? I would also ask, if Telesat is unable to pay for debt they owe, how do you expect them to fulfill their contractual obligations to this project? So this is a lawsuit that is alleging Telesat has billions of dollars of loans that are maturing. What is the contingency should this actually come to fruition?
Thanks for your question. So all the due diligence will continue, and we will work with our clients to determine a contingency. Thank you.
Good enough. It's absolutely clownish. $5 billion. Just yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure it's fine. Somebody said in the comments they were too drunk. I don't know. But something's wrong. Something's broken. Something's absolutely broken. As a CPA, when I was just starting out, I would have had a look and said, this seems to be a bad idea. I would have just fresh out of school, I would have said, this looks odd. Nah.
That's because fresh out of school, you wouldn't have been, inured to the system and the graft and the way it all worked. That's the great sadness. I mean, when I first started as a reporter as well, I was such a naive little boy. I can remember just thinking, so innocent, thinking about things in such a naive way. But then this is the thing, you experience it, you actually live it, and you see the filth and the grime that covers everything. And then you become sad old man.
Sad, all right. Here's some, you tell us, waste, fraud, or abuse. so you can stick up some of the things. Now we gave you some of the members that are thinking Canadians can put up emoji. This one, security at a secret public health agency warehouse so inadequate that $20 million worth of specialty drugs were ruined after staff failed to notice a freezer door was left open. Just minor stuff, right? $20 million worth of specialty drugs. Wonder what those drugs were. Secret location. Were they a BC drug location where we were handing out stuff? The Auditor General is looking into it.
And a foreign national was involved. What the hell is this story? This is like Cold War stuff.
Managers confirmed $20 million worth of drugs were lost when staff failed to ensure a freezer door was closed. That's from MP Jasek.
And we are aware, this is Director General Mantha, we are aware through a vendor we work closely with that there was interest from a foreign national in obtaining access to our warehouse locations. What country, asks a Tory MP, what country was he from? The reply, I cannot say.
Of course not.
China.
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 And of course, in this government, there were no reprimands. No one fired over a $20 million mistake. No whistleblowers, no accountability. There is somebody accountable, though. There absolutely is somebody accountable. You know who that is? You, the taxpayer, because you paid for it. Because you're going to pay for another $20 million. That's the accountable person. You, the taxpayer, because it says right here, is no one held accountable? That's from MP Konatz. And then they have replied, no. The answer is, yep, you, the taxpayer. You're held accountable because nobody in government is being held accountable. And I want to go back to Stephen Fuhr. Stephen Fuhr, have you got an email that works yet? 7 emails to Stephen Fuhr, local MP. I know him personally. 7 emails to Stephen Fuhr. 7 ghosts emojis. That's what we got out of it.
I wish we got a ghost emoji. At least that would be something.
Anyway.
We should pretend. Let's make fake email addresses and pretend that we're from the Financial Times. Like, hey there, Stephen. Just trying to get in touch with you from London, yeah? Could we have 5 minutes on the phone? And then it'll be like, yes, hello, Financial Times, yes.
Why don't you do your Keir Starmer impersonation? You could just say you're actually Keir Starmer.
If you work for the FT, you're gonna sound very posh.
And more fraud, waste, abuse, corruption. You call it. I don't know. What is it? You call it. Cabinet's current $78 billion deficit, the highest in Canadian history outside of pandemic overspending, will likely rise even higher before the budget expires in March. No shite, Sherlock, because they keep adding stuff, keep giving away money. There have been additional announcements since its budget, including the $13.8 billion vote buying scheme to GST credits, and then the $2.5 billion they doled out to Chrystia Freeland to go, the additional $2.5 billion to doled out to Ukraine. The budget office noted as analysts continue to be stymied in obtaining financial information from federal departments and agencies. Why would you want to give it to the budget office? They're the ones that are supposed to look after the money. Stop writing the checks, maybe, because just say no. That's what they did in the U.S. They just stopped allowing them to write checks. If you don't fill out the description on the check, you don't get a check. Parliament has not balanced a budget in 19 years since 2007. And then here you go, Finance Minister Francois Philippe Champagne. He's got the best name in Canadian politics for sure. Francois Philippe Champagne. I would have shot a 3-word name there like that. Said spending must be cut, but set no deadline. We're going to balance the budget in the year 50-50. Just keep us in power. I promise it'll be balanced by then. And this is the story I thought I was talking about earlier, but here you go. This is what I'm talking about. This new CEO of the Defense Investment Agency, the new DIA. Did they do that just because they like the Americans have all those initials? So they got the DIA now, the Defense Invest, a brand new office Like we've added, what, 3 now? We've got the housing one. Now it's going to become a Crown Corporation. We've got this one. We've got the Strategic Projects Office. All of them have done nothing. But look at the salary this guy's going to rake in. He's the highest yet. Like he's killing it. Like he's the boss. 679,000 and 100. How did he negotiate that extra 100? Where
he didn't negotiate it.
Where did the extra 100 come from? It looks like a used car deal or something. Just like, we're going to offer him, 650,000, 670, 679, 100. That'll do it. 679, 100. Got it. Done. Listen in. Just 679,000. That's before bonuses. That's before travel expenses. That's before, like, you can add another probably, well, you can probably double it. And then add his staff to it too. Let's go. Play the clip there.
And that you and the Prime Minister were colleagues at Goldman Sachs, an American company in the 90s, and you run in all the same banking and investment circles, correct?
Well, to refer to a question earlier, if I'm a close friend of the Prime Minister's, I feel bad for the Prime Minister because I don't see him very often.
Okay. So it seems from earlier testimony, as my colleague mentioned in November, that your name may not have been on the Privy Council's suggested list of candidates for the job. So, Canadians are wondering, how did you get on being the government's pick for this leading agency?
So they would know better than I would. Just as I said, I expressed an interest in serving Canada. I think Canada's having a moment.
With the Prime Minister, correct?
I expressed to the clerk after the Prime Minister sent me there, and left to them where they thought I could best make a contribution.
Now, on that note, was there any consideration to take a lower salary rather than end up being one of the highest paid Crown CEOs with a salary possibly higher than the Prime Minister's?
I didn't negotiate the salary. I was presented with a proposal to join at a level.
You didn't negotiate?
I was benchmarked against, as I understand it, a grid of Crown Corporation.
Okay.
I have a couple questions if I was doing the hiring. One, what experience do you have in defense? Sounds like you're just another banker. It seems odd, but we're stuffing this place full of bankers, no? Tim Hodgson. Tim Hodgson comes from the banking industry. This guy coming from the banking industry. What is going on? And we just told you it's a parasitic organization. Like the banking industry is parasitic. And they have more regulations than the government, obviously, because in the government, they just get to say, we can't disclose that. Oh, we can't share that. We can't do that. Because in the banking industry, they're just like, give me the documents. That's why a lot of them fail. Remember the Enron scandal where they just shredded? There was like a shredding party before they all, So all these bankers have figured out, you know what? There's a better place to access cash with no accountability. And then they're trying to put this law in there or this bill in there so they don't even have accountability. They don't even have to be scared of accountability.
Pesky accountability, as they refer to it.
So
don't have to waste your time on that kind of thing.
If you're a Canadian right now, how does globalism sounding to you? How is that salary, 679,100? That's before bonuses, because there's bonuses, like 90 to 95% of the people get bonuses. There's bonuses. And then also there's the expenses, which will be the huge part, because, and he's the head of the defense investment agency. So he's going to go out around the world and procure F-35s, which they are already making payments on, but telling you that they're not. So he's going to travel the world. And if you want to talk about any place that has a cartel and lobbying, it's the defense industry. I mean, we never had this before. All of a sudden, we're going to spend, millions of dollars on this new agency. And it's a banker. Like he's, it's not General Hand Grenade or somebody that, has some experience in military procurement. It's another banker, Goldman Sachs.
Well, look at the minister, the mini minister, Secretary of State in charge of defense procurement, Stephen Fuhr. What does he know about defense procurement?
Did you hear what she?
Buy that gun.
Did you hear what he said though? Because he said the truth, but he kind of couched it though. Listen. So did Mark Carney recommend you for this job? Well, no. I talked to the deputy there after Mark Carney sent me there. Okay, so Mark Carney sent you there. Do you know what I mean? He made it sound like he went just and applied there. But Mark Carney sent him there. Like, how stupid are we? Apparently, fairly stupid.
Pretty stupid. Pretty stupid.
Pretty stupid.
We're pretty dumb.
On the stupid level, we're right up there. Here's another one. The Canadian Security Intelligence Services, another one from Hollywood and Blacklocks. I mean, they dig out the dirt. CBC doesn't cover any of this stuff. Go subscribe to her, independent journalist. Go subscribe to Blacklocks. Go online and search Blacklocks. Pay the $363, I think it is, a year, and get some of the best information you're going to get if you're interested in the truth. If you like pablum and you like being fed a narrative, then just continue to watch that $1.5 billion boondoggle in Canada that they PR department. Canadian CSIS yesterday refused to say how many federal ridings were targeted by foreign agents in the 2025 general election. Not able to tell you the numbers, said Vanessa Lloyd, the CSIS election monitor. No comments.
The next line is even better. The MP asks, was my seat targeted? No comment.
So what's the point? Why come to committee? Don't want to talk about it.
Maybe behind closed doors. We can whisper about it later on. But I'm not going to tell the Canadian peasant what's going on here. I mean, that would just be completely out of order.
Just plain stonewalling. I mean, it's obviously a big issue. Sam Cooper is one of the independent journalists that brings it up all the time. Mark Carney was asked himself, why do you think the Chinese want you elected? I don't know. Let's move on. Like, those words should bother people. I don't know. Let's move on. He didn't say no. He just said, I don't know. Let's move on. Housing starts will go down, not up. We started a new Crown Corporation. They promised to double housing. That was the election promise. Remember that? But housing starts will go down, not up this year, despite ambitious federal targets for record high construction rates. And that's what the CMHC data showed yesterday. You know, that data stuff is just annoying. You know, because you can say all these touts and everything, but when the data comes in, it's just so annoying for the Liberals. The federal mortgage insurer said a national recession was possible. I got news for you. Not only possible, the word would be probable. New construction.
As the pirate says in Pirates of the Caribbean, you're in one.
New construction activity is projected to decline through 2026 through 2028, falling well below the historical 10-year average. Remember the promises. Those are one of the biggest promises. And again, another tout, another route. Another tout, another route. Urban housing start last year totaled 241,171. Cabinet said a minimum of 500,000 starts. Remember, Francois Philippe Champagne, what does he say about our economy? That's
We're going to be all right. We're doing great. You know, Canada is doing great.
I talked to my mom. She said so.
Even she understands. Champagne's mother understands.
We started another Crown Corporation. The updated CMHC forecast follows Cabinet's February 5th introduction of Bill C-20, an act respecting the establishment of Build Canada Homes would create a new Crown Corporation to promote construction. Gregor Robertson, the former Vancouver mayor, says we are in a housing crisis. Who made it? Who created it? Immigration, globalism, all those things. I mean, those are the facts. CBC won't talk about globalism and what it's done to this country, will they? Because Mark Carney himself says he's a globalist. So they're not going to go there, are they? CMHC forecasts extended pullback in condo construction through 2028. Really? Shocker. Shocker. And then look at the PR that goes out. Here's a Mark Carney tweet. We're getting the housing supply up so your costs can come down. A key part of the mission is converting federal lands into housing more quickly. How many times have they said that over the years? How many was Trudeau's? How many people have said that? Look at all the promises and look at all the lack of delivery. The only delivery thing that I can think of that's been delivered, that's been promised so far, And they made sure that promise was fulfilled. It's the CBC got their $150 million. What else got done? Pipeline? Nope. Trade deal? Nope. Housing? Nope. Anything else? Salaries for new departments. We got new departments. We got Build Canada. We got that. We got a new department. We got 679,100. We got to remember that number, 679,100 for the new CEO, a Goldman Sachs banker. So how many Goldman Sachs type people do we have in government right now in appointments? We got Tim Hodgson. We got Mark Carney. And now we got Doug Guzman. Anybody else? Well, at least they're smarter than the other pile that's there, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather have finance people than the usual suspects.
It depends, though, if they're filling their suitcase. I guess it all depends on what they're actually accomplishing.
Well, so the other guys, really, aren't they? So, yeah, you've just got to choose your punishment.
Look at this chart. I'll pull up the next one there. No, the bigger one. There should be one just with the chart. No? Okay, we'll go back to that first one. Sorry. Those are defaults going up. Canada in trouble, man. Lower the interest rate before we have like a wipeout here. Like, come on, Tiff. Get your head out of the sand, man. You created this mess too, Tiff. Clean it up. Get a mop. Let's go.
He's very good at absolving himself of any responsibility.
Oh yeah, he's good at this. I didn't do any of that stuff, right? I didn't do that.
As soon as it looks like maybe he was to blame for something in his press conferences or whatever, even in his little, his little essays that he releases, he just says like, there are limits to what monetary policy can do in an economy.
Yeah, good one. Listen to this on bankruptcies. Listen to this.
Honourable member for Chilliwack Hope. These Liberals keep telling Canadians that they've never had it so good. Well, not only has food inflation doubled since this Prime Minister took office, it's now twice as high in Canada as it is in the United States. It's driving over 2 million people a month to the food banks. I guess they should just move on from that. And now we learn that more and more Canadians have been forced into bankruptcy and bankruptcy proposals. In my province of British Columbia, they're up over 10% in the last year alone. When will this government stop pushing people to the brink and cut the taxes and red tape that is pushing Canadians into bankruptcy?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Squad Speaker, they want to talk about taxes. We cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We cut the GST for first-time home buyers, the consumer carbon tax. Last week, we launched the groceries and essentials benefit that will put up to $1,900 in the pockets of Canadians. Mr. Speaker, we're focused on affordability for Canadians. They're focused on continued obstruction.
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
That's good. That's good. That's good enough. Like the carnival. Holy cow. Like that guy there, whoever that was, like, whew. He needs to take better acting classes. I don't even think he knew what he was saying.
No, they rarely do. They're just told what to say. They're given instruction by the whips usually. They don't really know what the hell they say.
Just unbelievable. You know, like I would be embarrassed if I was there and I had to brag about impoverishing Canadians so that I could throw some crumbs out the window for them to eat.
I mean, the thing is with politicians, anybody that's ever spoken to them off the record, you know, in the halls of power, you'll know this. They often are mortified by some of the things that they have to do and say. So we can hold out hope, can't we? We can look at it generously and say maybe this is one of those examples where, you know, they hate their job at that moment.
And then here's a piece from the Financial Post, just a little interview of what you can expect here, just a clip of this interview here.
Canadian unemployment rate was pretty flat in 2025. Job hopping, churn in the labor market, layoffs, hiring, all pretty slow. And I don't see a real economic spark to get things moving in a stronger direction for job seekers. Most projections for GDP growth, for instance, are maybe a little bit better than last year, but not nothing too energetic. And so in that way, it's fair to, I think it's fair to expect a lot of the labor market to remain pretty similar in the year ahead. Canadian unemployment rate was pretty flat.
Tracy wants to know what high treason is. I mean, you can just go on any chat GPT and you can, or anything, and you can find
High
it.
treason is that's about when the word high means when it's about the monarch, it's about the king. So if I go and have very evil ideas about King Charles III, and want to affect his well-being, if I want to chop off his sausage fingers, I would be guilty of high treason. But if I just did a good old-fashioned betrayal of the country, then that would just be mere treason.
And that involves violence and that stuff, and that's where David Eby is wrong. And there is no violence involved with what's going on in Alberta and in Quebec, for that matter. Speaking to other people is not treason. Check this chart out. We showed it yesterday. This is the Canadian economy. Boom, boom, boom. If you're a skier, it might look good. It's pretty bad.
It's
Any thoughts?
I mean, who could have known that around about the year 2000 that was like, in so many ways, not just manufacturing as a share of GDP, but in many other ways, the year 2000, just about the top of the hill, wasn't it? Yeah. Sad times.
Yeah. Yep. And then yesterday we played the clip of Liberal MP John Paul Danko invoking, or again, bringing out the Hitler slur. They know no bounds. Like, this has to be shut down. They've gotten away with it for 10 years. 10 years they've gotten away with this label gun that they have. And it's worked. Like Trudeau said, hate and division works. That's why we do it. But this has to stop. So he needs to feel some backlash for accusing Jamil Shavani of talking to Hitler. Like, this is what incites violence. This is the kind of stuff, because most people would feel virtuous in stopping Hitler. And by doing that, you incite violence, because people would feel justified in going after Adolf Hitler, wouldn't they? They'd think they'd be saving millions of lives. Then you're telling people that Trump is the next Hitler. Like, this is a Liberal MP that has to have more respect and responsibility than to incite hatred and violence. Shame.
But he said it in the House. Was it in the House of Commons that this was said?
In the House of Commons. He said it in the House of Commons.
I mean, so that means the Speaker, it's incumbent upon the Speaker to do something about that as well. I mean, because this is the Unity Mitford man, isn't it? I suppose people have probably Googled who that ridiculous woman was by this point. And
Snorberry, we're just saying,
straightforward that she was like a Hitler worshipper, and she really she's a huge fan of Adolf's.
Snorberry, we're just saying to give it a rest for a couple of days. Just leave it for a couple of days. Let people grieve. That's all. Just give people a couple of days. Here's something that should be concerning. This is absolutely, again, they promised crime to reform. And what have they been working on? Online streaming acts, all kinds of things to censor you, but none of this stuff. 6 Ontario men released after facing charges for luring underage girls for sex. 6 men charged with trying to lure girls under the age of 16 for sex in raising All 6 men were charged last month in a sting operation dubbed Project Firebird. The arrests were announced on Monday. That saw Durham Regional Police arrest officers posing as minors to combat the purchase of sex services for girls under the age of 18. The accused believed they were talking to underage females who were soliciting sex. And that the charges include Brampton residents Manish Singh, Bruce Harrington of Ajax, Markham's Nicholas Chen, Sarak Kabdi, I'm brittle on these names, Leo D. Ayao, Aoya?
Ayao? Maybe. That one's, the last one's easy. Christopher Smith.
There you go. And all released. Just, yeah, they'll come back. Just, it's fine. Hey, I wonder if that was your daughter, it would be okay. Just, that's fine. Go ahead. It'll be fine.
Well, maybe for different reasons it would be okay. But
it'll be fine. And then even worse in the crime in Ontario going on right now. Listen to this from Ben Mulrooney. Listen to, he's talking to a cop here, a former cop. Listen.
That uniform issue, Ben, I tell you, that frightens me right to my core.
What do you make of that?
Oh, well, you know what? That's just as dirty as it gets. And to think that a sworn police officer would give criminals uniforms so that they could commit criminal acts while posing as police officers. And we've already heard what those could be, right? Right up from extortions to shootings to attempt murder and perhaps murders. And my goodness, what would the public think to see that video where what appears to be police officers are committing some of the most serious crimes?
Canada has become just like a laughingstock in so many different ways. And what does Gary Andesangria focus on? What does Sean Fraser focus on? What are they focusing on? The wrong thing. Like how much effort has been put into these new online censorship acts? Why? Because the Liberals don't like to be called out online. That's what they want. I mean, they're focusing on their own survival instead of the survival of Canadians and safety of the neighborhoods and that. It's got to be that, because why would they focus there instead of on the real issues? Why would they focus there?
Fastest way to obtain and hold power, really. I mean, that's the Occam's razor answer to everything with politicians, I think. Everything they do that seems stupid, that's usually the explanation.
Yeah, so I mean, luring young girls for sex, underage girls, posing as police officers, busting into homes, shooting people in their homes, and then the cops telling you just to leave your keys at the front door.
Yeah, not to, I mean, it's obviously implied, but not to defend yourself, because then they may come for you.
I mean, it's enough is enough. And the CBC is supposed to be our watchdog. We're paying them $1.5 billion to be the Canadian watchdog. They do not act in the best interests of Canada, do they? They act in the best interests of the Liberal Party. That must be taken down. Mark Miller, well, we're going to play it later, he says that we need a media that holds power accountable. They don't let us have access. We must demand access. We must demand access, and we must ask them to be held accountable. And see some panic going on in the background there because our budget is a lot lower than $1.5 billion, but just a tad under. Rob Shaw has this internal email exposes depth of EB's government's financial crisis. Like BC in hot water. BC should be the 1-2 punch in Canada, or in Ontario too, like a 1-2-3 punch. BC like on its knees, and debt. Like debt. We've already been marked down a couple of times by the debt agencies. You gonna be okay? So is it, as long as you don't see the chaos in the background, as long as the chaos doesn't look as chaotic in the front, I get to see the chaos.
He's gonna run out to the bakery and procure a sausage roll.
Total provincial debt now sits at a forecast $156 billion, a jump of more than 70% in more than 3 years since EB took over for Oregon. He's been spending like a drunken sailor. Absolutely. The money's running out, though, because now Brenda Bailey, and I've interviewed Brenda twice now. I'm going to ask her again. I don't know if she's going to want to talk. She said there's difficult decisions coming. The money's run out. You know, in the province can't print it like the feds can.
Yeah, all they can do is beg for the printer to be turned on just for them.
And you look at, you know, like we talk about, we've heard EB say all these projects that are shovel ready. How many can we stick a shovel in the ground? Like, I mean, the Tumbler Ridge thing, going back to that, ER departments at shortages, and you know, like a crisis like that comes in, like how are they supposed to react? What's a community supposed to do?
But she says here in this note that Rob Shaw's got a hold of. She says it's going to become the era of cuts is the new normal. Oh no, sorry, that was somebody else said that. Who was it? That's Salter.
No, it's Salter, yeah. So it's the leaked memo there kind of thing, yeah. So
yeah, but that's obviously the atmosphere on campus, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've run out of money. They've run out of ideas. They've run out of money. We got a healthcare crisis. We got a financial crisis. We got an investment crisis.
Downgrades.
We got a DRIPA crisis where people don't even buy properties. Well, think back again. The pillars of Canada's economy right now isn't resources. It's our housing sector. That's our biggest one. And what is it doing right now? Crumbling. Our housing sector is literally crumbling. Property values are dropping. More foreclosures are climbing. And I said this a while ago, it could be the greatest bear trap. And if you get companies like Brookfield swooping in, buying up residential homes, man, that'll look like one of the biggest bear traps set ever, taking advantage of Canadians' misery again.
There's a line in that Rob Shaw article, which I think we should read out, which is the EB government grew spending by 17.4% compared with the era of John Horgan, while growing revenues by 2.7%.
Well, they choke off. I mean, you want to make easy money? Just say, Alberta, you can have a pipeline. We'll just take some cash money, please.
I'll just say yes to anything. Say yes to anything, really. I mean, British Columbia is blessed, as you've said many times, and I've said a few times as well. I mean, it is so blessed in compared to the other provinces. Primarily, I mean, not just this reason, but primarily because of that coastline. So you've seen their trade partners in East Asia. You've seen the East Asian economies shoot up in terms of their wealth. It's almost like you would expect BC just to be lifted up with the tide. You know, if they just played it straight. And that's just the coastline. I mean, it's just the port. That's just access. They also have
one of the most
lots of LNG and all the rest of it.
We have one of the most desirable assets, and that's that coastline. We have the coastline, the ports. We have that.
The most valuable bit of real estate in Canada, pretty much, is the port of Vancouver.
And Evan Solomon, we could play that clip here, but let's not play it before we do play it. What does the BC NDP do? Block. Daniel Smith says, can I build a pipeline? EB says, block. Scott Moe says, I need to get that potash to the coast. EB says, block. It's like, okay.
They'd rather have spent the money on a ridiculous campaign to try and block TMX, which, you know, lest we forget, that is what they did.
And also, the only thing they don't block is crime, guns, and drugs coming into our ports. No block. On your way. On your way.
But just all kinds of things, all sorts of money's been just thrown around and wasted, hasn't it? Like, there's been so much complacency, hasn't there? BC, more than anywhere else, I would say.
Before we move on to the next section, we do appreciate everybody that comes here on a regular basis. If you could help us share this far and wide, that would be appreciated. Very much so. Again, we do appreciate everybody that shows up here, especially the members that are joining. Actually, everybody that shows up here on a regular basis. If you could share it on your Facebook, get it out to as many people as possible, that would be appreciated. We need more news out there combating the propaganda that's put out by the CBC and CTV and Global. If we have an election coming up, people need to know the truth. They need to know more than what's going on. They need to see what's actually going on. They need to see a government that refuses to be held accountable. That is one of the things that media's job is. The primary thing as accountability is us to hold power accountable and to let the public, I mean, you, the voter, have all the power, except they've convinced you that you don't have any. And some of you have given up. You can't give up. You can't give up. Globalism is not good for you. Globalism is not good for you. No matter how much they tell you globalism is good, it's not good for you. Look at the results of globalism. Look at the countries that have locked into globalism. America is backing away from globalism, and it's starting to show. I mean, they're pulling investment back into the United States. And I look at the leading indicators all the time. Investment is a leading indicator. Investment is fleeing Canada. Investment is fleeing Canada. Most of the investment being done in Canada right now is government, and that's usually failure because government has no clue as to what it's doing. Like Ronald Reagan said, the government says, we're here to help, run. But here you go. Here's the other side of it. As Canada's, the economy, that's by economists, that's by financial publications, Canada's economy on life support, Canada's economy heading into a recession. Even Tiff Macklin said that if we don't get a CUSMA deal, we're heading into recession. And like Ian said, you're already in one. Here's the United States economy, though. A tale of two nations, one going one way and the other one going the other. And you can guess which one's going the other way. Let's play this clip here. This guy's quite the touter, though. Listen in.
For January, coming in twice expectations at 130,000, 130K. That would be the juiciest going back to April of last year when it was 158. Now, if we look at a couple of months worth of revision, they came in at minus 17,000. Now, let's look for average hourly earnings month over month, up 0.4. That's 1/10 higher than both looking back and looking forward. 0.4 would equal October last year. You are all the way back to the summer of 24 to find a higher month-over-month earnings number. Let's go year over year. 3.7 exactly as expected. 1/10 light to 3.8 in the rearview mirror. So how does that stack up? 3.7 would be the lightest since it was actually 3.6. Thanksgiving of last year. Now let's look at hours worked, shall we? 34.3. That increase, that's a good thing. That's up.
That's good. I think we need to get that boisterous, though. Juiciest numbers ever. Who doesn't love juicy numbers? The point
also
is,
the accent, like New York, I think that is, isn't it? I assume that's like a New York accent. That helps.
If you go to the next slide, the point is their unemployment rate is almost, it's way lower than Canada's, and the investment is going.
It's feeling though. I mean, I was reading a big feature on the fast food industry in the US and how they're kind of suffering. The reason being because too many low-wage Americans they're too poor to buy McDonald's, and Wendy's particularly. Wendy's is suffering a lot. So, I mean, obviously, it's not perfect. There are lots and lots of people in America that can't afford McDonald's, and that's affecting the health of those companies. So,
the other part of that, though, is, and I had this discussion earlier this morning with my friend. A lot of the things, like when you talk about leading indicators, it takes a while for those leading indicators to kind of come through. Don't forget that economy was turned the wrong way. The American economy had high inflation, had a whole bunch of things. The inflation has come way down. Jobless numbers is coming way down. But the investment there is absolutely astronomical. And, Trump will tout trillions, 18 trillion, $20 trillion. But I know from seeing some of the stuff that's happening, it's in the trillions, and it's happening. Tesla's building at SpaceX. They're going to launch, what is it? I might get this number wrong. 1,000 rockets a year. Like they're building, they have a whole space program that's going on. There's people building massive factories in the United States, massive factories, energy companies, even Brookfield itself. Brookfield with Cameco through Westinghouse is building 8 nuclear reactors in the United States. Energy is everything. This is the key thing. Energy is everything. China has lifted its economy out of like basically poverty and farmers into one of the most like technologically advanced economies, all on energy. They will, like Ian says, I know some people don't like it, they will literally burn pandas so that they can have energy. And energy is everything. And we've shown you the charts where energy is going through the roof for China. And America has turned the corner and theirs is starting to go up. Canada, on the other hand, we have this continually downtrend, and it's apparently we're still anti-oil and gas. Like it's so conflicting. And but again, we're investing in chargers across the country where people aren't buying EVs. So why are we doing this massive investment into EVs? I love EVs. I drive an EV, but we don't like Tesla, so that's the only EV worth buying. We're doing this massive investment in electric chargers for people that don't have, and those ones don't even work. They don't even work, those other chargers. Like the Tesla supercharger system is the only one. So it doesn't make sense. So who's making the grift off of it? Mark Carney is still selling climate change. That is a globalist ideal. That is a globalist ideal, and it has failed. And yet they continue to sell it to the Canadian public. Stock markets continue to go up. Everything's at record highs. Metals, the big thing in Canada, metals are just absolutely through the roof. It should be Canada's day in the sun. We are one of the richest resource nations by diversity. I come from the mining sector. Right now, we should be just like banging on the drum. And you know, like this thing that just happened, we talked about yesterday, Vizsla Silver, where a bunch of the mining people there were killed in Mexico. Another reason to get mining going here in Canada, it's safer here. It's safer jurisdictions. But you know what here it's not safe for? Capital is not safe here because of regulatory burden. It's uncertainty. That's the problem here. So where's the money going to go? If people are scared to go to Mexico, they're going to go to the United States. There's lots of problems because they're there. They're saying they're going to cut regulations. They're going to fast track stuff. They're actually in Alaska going to build them a road for 200 miles. They're actually going to build the road for a Canadian mining company to start mining critical minerals in Alaska. And if you want to talk about a hard place to do work, it's Alaska. You know, you got to dig through the snow pile. Anyway, Keir Starmer. Hell no, Joe, I won't go. Isn't that how it goes? Hell no, I won't go. Who was the other one that said, hell no, I won't go just recently? And then he ended up going. We did that just a while ago. Hell no, I won't go. They had to pry his cold, dead hands off there, and he went. We were talking about it. What's that?
I don't know who you mean.
It's going to come to me in a second because he kept saying, hell no, I won't go.
What country?
I think it was Canada, actually. Hell no, I won't go. Resigned. I don't know. I'll think of it here in a second. It'll come.
I mean, many people have done it, haven't they? Many people have said that kind of thing. And eventually, you know, they will go.
Let's listen to Keir here, though, make his big speech.
Who say the Labour government should have a different fight, a fight with itself, instead of a fight for the millions of people who need us to fight for them. And I say to them, I will never walk away from the mandate I was given to change this country. I will never walk away from the people that I am charged with fighting for. And I will never walk away from the country that I love. And that is the country who I truly believe we are, a compassionate, reasonable, live and let live country, a diverse country, where given half the chance, we'll help each other out. That is who we are as a country, and I want to serve every single part of that country.
That's good. Is he like literally begging there? Is he quoting Beatles songs and begging there? How he wants to give some passion?
Just like Mark Carney, who's done this many times, and Pierre Poilievre, indeed, and lots of other Canadian leaders. He's listing these things that make us British. And they're just like completely generic attributes, like, because we're stuck together and we'll do things together. It's like, what? You don't know the first thing about the country that you lead. You can't say one thing that makes Britain unique. Everywhere in the world does that, mate. Everybody works together when the times are tough. Like that's everywhere. That's every country, every culture, every business, every family. You're not saying anything. And live and let live. Like, what are you talking about? Live and let live. You're in charge of a government whose police forces arrest people for making tweets. Well, how's that live and let live? But also, I mean, he's saying here, I'll never walk away. All the people that need me, all that. It's like, I think quite a lot of people, a majority of people in Britain, need you to walk away. They don't need you to stay where you are. They desperately need and want you to go because you've proved that you're not very good at this job. And then he's saying, the other thing I picked up there, he's saying, talk about the mandate. I'll never walk away from the mandate that I won. You didn't win a mandate. That's not how the Westminster system works, obviously. Your party won a mandate. MPs who are in the Labour Party won a mandate. And together they have that mandate. If they choose to get rid of you, that's their prerogative. That's not, it's not a personal mandate. It's not a presidential system. But once again, we have people playing silly buggers, pretending to be dumb so that they can make these feeble moral points. And also the man who's been attacked so many times for being like boring and low energy. Now he finds his dynamo. He's like, I'm really, really angry. I'm showing that passion. But, self-interest. That's what's done it for him.
I really got begging out of there with quoting some Beatles song lines and stuff like that, how people stick up for each other. Nobody, like, who's going to stick up for you? Francois Philippe Champagne's mother, or who? Who's going to stick up for you? And thank you to the people in the comments. John Rustad, hell no, I won't go. That was one.
Yeah, that was one. That was it. I think that must have been the one.
Justin Trudeau, hell no, I won't go. I'm in it for the long haul. And also, Tampon Tim. Oh, sorry, did I say that? Tim Waltz. I just read the comment there.
These nicknames. Sometimes
sometimes they just come out. Tim, poor Tim. Tim's got to be. Well, you know what? Tim's got to be the worst politician. No, we played that clip from Kamala Harris yesterday. That would be a 1-2 punch, and I don't know who would win that. Melanie Jolie might
double down on bad politicians. It's like, we've got this really dreadful candidate, Kamala Harris. Like, what should we do? It's like, double it.
How do we make Kamala Harris look smart? Put Tim in there. He would make Melanie Jolie look smart.
I don't think they liked each other either, did they? Because they were never together either. So, I mean, what a mess that was.
When he walked on stage there, that was the worst. When he walked on stage, all bent over there, just super awkward. Oh, guy. Oh, my. Oh, my. Charlie Angus.
There's another one that's done and finished.
Hell no, I won't go. Just get out, Keir. Just get out. Just go.
He must know it's done. Everybody knows it's done. Obviously, he's not going to be able, if he somehow succeeds in squatting in Downing Street, he's not going to pull anything off because he's constantly fragile and walking on eggshells with his own MPs. He's not going to be able to do anything. It's pointless to have him there, and he must know that.
He is a globalist as well, and look what he's done to England. Look what he's done. King Arthur would not be proud. If you ever read The Art of War, you might think that the Chinese government has propped up these globalists so that we could actually bring down our own countries from within. It's a smart play. This little clip here, I'm not going to play the clip there, but you can go find it. FBI report, Trump called police about Epstein. I mean, that's been said now by some of the bigger outlets, CNN even. And this is a piece from, I think, ABC News or whatever. That Trump called the police on him and said some bad stuff's going on. And I won't play that one, but I do want to play this one from Joe Rogan because it's more funny when Joe Rogan is mentioned in an email as well. But listen to how this goes here.
I'm in the files for not going.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Aren't you
like,
glad?
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would ever went,
But did you-
especially after I Googled them. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? This was like 2017. One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, bitch, are you high? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Epstein asks Lawrence Krauss to introduce him to. We already saw this.
That's good enough. Well, listen to Joe Rogan. He just used Google. He vetted the guy just with Google. He's like, yeah, no. Right?
But I mean, really, do you even need Google? Jeffrey Epstein is a notorious scoundrel. I mean, it was quite a big political controversy because he ended up getting this like glorious sweet plea deal in Florida, I believe it was, and it was obviously transparently corrupt. Talking about corruption, he got away with procuring a child for prostitution, and he got like nothing. He was not punished as he should have been, and that was, what was that, 2006 or 7 or something like that. It was a long time ago. I can't remember exactly when, but I mean, that's how long it's been known that, like, for sure, beyond all doubt, literally prosecuted in a court of law, that he was a nonce, as we say on the other side of the Atlantic, that he was an extremely bad human being that you should stay away from, and yet people kept on going. Craziness.
Bill Gates said in his defense, he only went there 28 times. But it was just for dinner. He must have served a hell
just to talk about science. That's what Noam Chomsky says, isn't it? As well, just to talk about. Actually, Noam Chomsky just says nothing. He's not bothered. He's not even trying to explain himself.
Must have served some good meatballs or sausage rolls or something. Must have served some good stuff.
He must have known a lot about physics.
And then there's a reporter that went. A female reporter. She said she went there because she was invited. She went there, and she had the heebie-jeebies and never went back. And then she said she feels bad because she should have went back and did an investigative report, but she just felt so bad about going there. Like, it just felt so. I mean, obviously, he gave people the creeps right out of the gate.
Yeah, totally. Well, and he was also like, almost everybody that talks about having spent time with him says that there were like young women always around him. Well, Donald Trump, obviously, in that birthday message, where he said something like, you know, and he's known to like women who are on the younger side or something like that. Like, everybody knew about it. Terrible, frankly, isn't it? But I mean, apparently he was a very, very charming man. That's what people seem to say, that he charmed a lot of people and fooled a lot of people. But sort of seems like, in retrospect, that's something that you would say, wouldn't you, if you wanted to absolve yourself of hanging around with such a person.
I'm not sure I get this. What's Jolie Carney's fly toy doing with her bird fingers? I'm not sure. I don't think I get that. But
somebody, Diggsy, our good chum Diggsy there, earlier on when you were talking about King Arthur, he said something about Athelstan. How about King Athelstan? And I agree with you, Diggsy. I agree with you. The village in England that I grew up in has a little plaque saying Athelstan was here, that he came and because Athelstan's like the true father of England, who sort of created England. So we'll have him. We'll have Athelstan.
I'm going to stick with Arthur.
Well, Arthur was a Romano-Briton. He would have hated the English, the Saxons. So
that's it. That's we do have our website up, thereallybigshow.ca, so if you could go there, thereallybigshow.ca. So we're now on, I think, a bunch of audio. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're also on Kelowna now. You can find it's an embedded player. You can play the audio track if you're in your car or whatever. You can play it there. We're on Rumble, so we streamed on Rumble, and I think we got a couple of subscribers there now. Obviously on YouTube here, we're growing. I think we're going to hit 2 million here this month. Hopefully we get to 2.5 million. Let's keep growing the channel. You can get it out there as much. We did start an X channel. So Merlin for me, I'm all into Merlin as well. Elon Musk is the modern day Merlin, if anybody wants to apply that. If anybody's an alien on this planet, that's that guy. He's that guy.
He is like Merlin, actually, in a way, the magic he comes up with.
He is definitely Merlin. Like, I mean, he comes up with a new technology that nobody's heard of when he goes to sleep. He wakes up and he's like, got another one. Again, we're everywhere, and we're not on Facebook because the Liberals continue to block news organizations from putting their content on Facebook and Instagram. We had an audience of about 200,000 there. They took it away from us, and they created this. They literally created us. They literally created us out of necessity as they put their foot to our throat. This is what comes out the other end. So thank you for creating us, I guess. And now we just need to get a bigger voice. And imagine that when this show becomes bigger than the CBC's propaganda show, and we could go head to head with Rosie Barton and David Cochran. They're going to know our names. Coming for you, boys and girl, boy and girl, sausage roll kings. Yeah, and we're going to, the first day, just like when Elon Musk walked in with the sink. Remember that when he walked into Twitter with the sink? Do you remember that? Yeah. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. We're going to walk in with a couple of buckets of sausage rolls. We're going to put them on the desk. And we're going to say, take your sausage rolls and get out. There's a new sheriff in town. Anyway.
Absolutely. And we haven't even talked about, I mean, maybe tomorrow we'll talk about the real new sheriff in town, which is AI. Things have been escalating very quickly in the AI world, haven't they? A lot of people are being kicked out of town by the new sheriff, and a lot of people freaking out about it. A lot of very serious, very experienced people starting to really freak out about what's coming and how rapid this is
so
going to change our society.
That parasitic organization there called the banks in Canada. Like if you go look at Ian and I's predictions 2026, we did a show around just right after New Year's there. You're going to find that we said the banks will be one of the biggest layoff kings. They will lay off more people than you can believe. They are all about profits. They're a parasitic organization, and it's a sad testament to where Canada is based on that. They're like, they dominate the top 10. They literally dominate the top 10 in Canada for our market cap. That is not a sign of a healthy economy, and that's the truth. No matter how they try to dress it up, somebody tries to snow you into believing that. Say, snow thanks. Snow thanks. Keep your silliness to yourself, and don't let them label you. Like, it's enough with the label gun. Just say, no thanks, I'm not interested. Thanks for the climate change stuff. Thank you. Move on. You government bleeder. Anyway, how's that? How's that? We're back tomorrow. We're back tomorrow with more of the Really Big Show. And yeah, we're back tomorrow at 9 a.m. And look at that. We kept it under 2 basically there. So thank you for subscribing, sharing, becoming a member. All those great things help us reach a wider audience. And till tomorrow, God bless. And hopefully there's angels there guiding those young souls into the gates of heaven.